18-year-old Danielle Rippian was a high school student with a passion for cheerleading. Looking at this cheerful girl, it was impossible not to smile. A little spark, full of energy, that's what her coach said about her. She was always the center of attention. It was attention that Danielle couldn't get at home. Her mother died of cancer when she was a baby, so Danielle and her 3 siblings lived with their grandmother in California. They lived very modestly. When Danielle was 14 years old, her grandmother died. The children moved in with their stepfather. Danielle grew up and looked for all the missing love in guys. Her coach said, every boyfriend was the one she was going to marry. She was always very close to the families of the guys she dated. On October 4, 2012, Danielle Rippian met another guy. His name was Skylar Nemetz. Their meeting took place at a high school football game in Northern California, where Danielle was a cheerleader. Immediately after meeting, feelings flared up between the couple. The guy admitted that he fell head over heels in love with the girl. Danielle and Skylar immediately started dating. 19-year-old Skylar Nemetz recently graduated from high school and joined the Army as a contractor. He was about to leave for military training in Georgia. Danielle shocked those close to her when she moved in with him at his mother's house just a month after meeting Skylar. Skylar's mother, Danette Heller, said, I felt sorry for Danielle. I felt sorry that she grew up without parents. I liked spoiling her because she wasn't spoiled. I was crazy about her. She called me Mom. Just 3 months after they met, during the Christmas holidays, Skylar bought Danielle a diamond ring and proposed. When Skylar Nemetz finished his training at a military camp in Georgia, the lovers got married on March 7, 2013. The ceremony lasted 10 minutes. Skylar was in his service uniform. The young family settled outside the base in Lakewood, Washington, where Skylar served. Danielle had already dropped out of school by that time. Soldier Skylar was often away on training exercises. He wasn't home for weeks. Danielle often traveled with him because she wanted to spend more time with her husband. Danielle's friends and family were not very supportive of her decision to get married as soon as possible. They didn't believe that anything serious could come of this. Her stepfather said, one day, Danielle and Skylar came to visit me. She was funny, but Skylar didn't want to participate in the conversation. I shook his hand, and then he walked back to the car and drove off. Danielle later confessed to her stepfather that her husband smashed her mobile phone in a fit of anger and then bought her an expensive new phone. The stepfather was indignant. He demanded that Danielle tell him the whole truth about her relationship with Skylar. Danielle was silent for a while and then replied that she had forgiven her husband and said that she loved him very much. When the girl turned 19, her husband gave her a rifle for amateur shooting. She knew how to handle it, charge it, discharge it, and clean it. Skylar Nemetz grew up around guns and shot his first rifle when he was a child. Skylar collected guns and kept more than 12 guns in their small apartment. Fortunately, in their house there was always a rule that weapons should be kept in a safe and weapons should always be unloaded. In 2014, Danielle enrolled in a local high school, got a puppy, and started a new job at a manufacturing company. On September 27, 2014, Skylar traveled to Eastern Washington for a 3-week military assignment. Towards the end of the trip, the guy dreamed of returning home to his wife as soon as possible. While Skylar was away, he sent Danielle a message asking her to buy 2 bottles of alcohol, rum and whiskey, so that he could drink them when he arrived home. 19-year-old Danielle had to be helped with the purchase of alcohol by Skylar's Army comrade, Anthony Fass, who was over 21 years old and could make the purchase without any problems. Danielle's best friend, who communicated with her every day via video call, sensed that something was wrong. The friend said, I asked her, when is Skylar coming home? Danielle replied, before Skylar arrives, I need to shampoo the carpets and make sure the house is in absolute order. On the afternoon of October 16, 2014, Danielle arrived at her husband's Army base to take him home. At 5 p.m., they were already home and ordered pizza. Skylar drank the rum and whiskey that Danielle bought. He was very tired that day. Danielle's friend said, we were video calling and she was sitting at her computer desk in the bedroom and Skylar was sitting on the sofa. At some point, Danielle ran up to him, jumped on his lap, and said that she was very happy when her husband was next to her. The girls ended the conversation, and after 12 minutes, Danielle Nemetz was dead. She was shot with her own rifle as she sat looking at her computer screen. Neighbors heard the shot and immediately called 911. As early as 6 p.m., Skylar Nemetz was arrested and taken to the Lakewood Police Department for questioning. The police car camera recorded everything he said. "My wife is dead. My wife. My wife, what should I do? Just kill me. My wife. My love." Skylar's mother was very afraid that her son would do something bad to himself. Skylar was questioned. When he returned home, he said, Danielle's rifle was in their bedroom closet. That evening, Danielle brought the rifle into their bedroom and asked her husband to put it away. Danielle's computer was in the room. The girl sat down at him to finish some work. She sat with her back to her husband. Skylar, believing that the rifle was unloaded, picked it up and was about to check it when suddenly a shot was fired. The bullet went straight through the back of the girl's head and hit the computer screen. Danielle died instantly. Skylar admitted that after the shooting, he hid the rifle back in the closet, poured the remaining alcohol from the bottles, and threw them off the balcony. The police immediately assumed that the guy wanted to get rid of evidence in this way. Investigators questioned Skylar for a long time, not understanding how a soldier could accidentally shoot his wife and not help her. They also didn't understand why he got rid of the bottles of alcohol that Danielle bought for him. It was also strange that Skylar didn't call 911. The interrogation lasted more than 5 hours. The guy was arrested and taken to the Pierce County Jail in Tacoma. When his mother, Danette Heller, learned that her son had been arrested, she immediately took out all her savings and took out a loan to hire the best lawyer to defend her son. The woman admitted, "I had a terrible dream in which Danielle shot Skylar in the head. It shocked me. A month later, this dream became a terrible reality. Only it was not Daniela who pulled the trigger, but my son." The woman had to leave her youngest son, Aaron, with friends in Utah and moved to Tacoma to be near Skylar. He was released on $1 million bail and placed on house arrest pending trial. For 1.5 years, mother and son huddled in one small room, awaiting trial in the case of Danielle Nemetz. It wasn't easy for both of them. 1.5 years after the tragedy, Skylar Nemetz was charged with first-degree murder. The guy said, "I feel like my heart was ripped out of my chest the day my wife died. The worst thing about all of this is that it's my fault." Detectives doubted Skylar's story from the start. The guy served and knew how to handle weapons very well. Detectives doubted it was an accident. The direct hit to the back of Danielle's head looked more like a planned crime than an accident. The more Skylar spoke, the worse he looked in the eyes of investigators. That's because he kept changing his story about how he held the gun before it went off. After the confession, investigators had questions for Skylar. Why didn't he call 911 immediately after the incident? Why did the neighbor do this? There wasn't a drop of blood on him, a clear sign that he wasn't trying to save her. He did not provide any help to his wife. Skylar justified himself by saying that he was very scared and didn't understand anything. The police checked the Nemetz family's phones and read their correspondence. It turned out that Skylar controlled his wife and even allowed himself cruel remarks towards her. Here are some of them. "You are an idiot." "Danielle, why the fuck do we have Amazon? You don't need this crap. Before you walk with my money, you should ask me." In one of the messages, Skylar accuses Danielle of going on a date with Jeremy Henry. Jeremy was Danielle's old high school friend. She wrote back to her husband, "Skylar, you are insecure. You need to work at it. You don't trust me when I talk to Jeremy." Skylar's army buddy, Anthony Face, said Danielle was supposed to buy rum and whiskey for her husband. First, Skylar asked Anthony to buy alcohol since the guy was already 21 years old and had the right to make a purchase. But Anthony could not do this, as he urgently left on business. Therefore, Danielle decided to solve this issue herself. The girl asked 2 other guys to go with her and buy alcohol. One of them was her school friend, Jeremy Henry. Schuyler had no idea who made the purchase until he went to thank his friend Anthony. The friend said that he didn't buy anything, but other guys helped Danielle. Anthony stated that after hearing this, Schuyler became angry. He was angry because his wife lied to him about where she got the rum and whiskey from. Danielle didn't tell her husband anything about meeting other guys. Danette Heller hired the best lawyer for her son. She chose Michael Stewart. His work experience was 20 years. Stewart's task was to convince the 12 jurors that a highly trained soldier with excellent weapon handling could make such a fatal mistake. Stewart was able to get government gun experts to admit that mistakes can be made because it's not always easy to tell when a rifle is loaded. The lawyer provided numerous messages from Schuyler sent to Danielle, such as, "Honey, I'm going to bed, I love you," and "Hey baby, how was your day?" These messages make it clear that Schuyler was a loving husband. Stewart turned to key witness Anthony Fass, who said Schuyler was furious when he told him Danielle had approached 2 other guys to buy alcohol. Schuyler stated that this conversation did not happen. Another of his Army buddies, Richard Oakley, supported Schuyler. He testified that he didn't even see Anthony Fass at the base that day and that Schuyler was happy to see Danielle, who had arrived to take her husband home. At the trial, Schuyler again told what happened that terrible evening. Here are his last words. "When the smoke cleared, I saw my wife. She didn't move. I dropped the weapon and then approached Danielle on the left side. I saw her face and realized that she was dead. I didn't know what to do next. I never meant to hurt her." Schuyler cried during his confession. The lawyer hoped that tears would help them achieve a full acquittal. The lawyer said, "It's difficult for Schuyler to talk about this. This is manslaughter. I believe Schuyler's soul is pure, but his hands are not. He was just careless with his weapon." After 7 days, the jury finally reached their verdict. Schuyler was found guilty of first-degree manslaughter. It was a victory for the defense and a terrible loss for prosecutors. After the verdict, Schuyler said, "Danielle died because of me and my actions. I take full responsibility for this. I was reckless and careless, and I will pay for this." Schuyler addressed those in court. "I'm so sorry. I'm sorry Danielle died. I feel sorry for her friends and family. I will accept any punishment you give me." Schuyler Nemetz was sentenced to 13.5 years in prison. He will be released in 2028. At that time, he will be 34 years old. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel